This is most likely the final evaluation of Ashley's character, and then I can move on to other things. Number something. I don't even remember what number we're at. This is the part where Leon is limping his way over to Luisa's lab. I had a bunch of complimentary script stuff I wanted to say about Leon's persistence and his strength and desperation to get Ashley cured, but we're here for Ashley. Sorry, Leon, you're just not all that, okay? Not in my books, anyway. Well, not in this analysis. He is quite attractive, I will admit, not my kind of attractive. So, Leon places Ashley down on this chair. Ashley, in her weakest state, reaches out to Leon and limps like a corpse. You go first. I'm not kidding. She literally sounds like an old hag. Okay, now Leon reassures Ashley that everything's fine by falling on a chair after doing some computer thingies that I'm pretty sure Louise told him how to do, because let's just say I don't feel like breaking my brain about the communication of this game any longer. So this machine thingy locates the virus before Ashley's even underneath its radar. And I mean, like, the chair is literally moving as it locates the virus in her body. In other words, what is it locating? Because it's not like it's running on a blood sample, because it actually needs Ashley's blood to do that. And within the 1.5 seconds that Leon scooted away from her, I'm pretty sure he wasn't holding a needle. But, I'll just pretend I missed something. Or I could spend a minute and a half going off about how this computer acts like it's an X-ray, but then breaks X-ray logic, because Ashley's chair continues to move as the computer confirms that it has located the virus, unless the computer is connected to the chair. Which, problem solved then, right? Also, what does the computer mean by purge? Continue, no computer, I'd like to purge. So Leon does his Batman stare as he clicks a button on the computer. They really dramatized this scene, which I guess indicates that he would like to purge the virus. So these robotic arms swoop into action, and I want to point something very worthless out, but when Ashley gets this surgery, she's half and half awake, so she experiences every ounce of pain that comes with purging the virus. However, Leon passes out during his surgery. He gets a free pass from the universe. Wow, how lucky. So the magical telepathic laptop locates the virus like an X-ray, but it's not an X-ray. We establish it's a telepathic machine that can just sense these things. Must have been one of those fortune-telling ticket machines before it got recycled. Also, here's a screenshot of Ashley's pain. The screaming is far worse, and I couldn't bear it, so it makes sense that Leon would jump to hold her down. Or jump to comfort her, but that makes me jealous, so instead we'll just say he's doing it because he has to. He quite literally falls off his chair just to reach for her hand. Don't you just sometimes wish somebody in your life cared about you like that? Let's not talk about that. Did you notice how Leon continues to make this aggro glare yet again? Not the time, Leon. You can't raise those brows and fold them just an inch. Like, slightly. Maybe not constantly glaring at everything you see. Okay, so he does kind of shift his brows a little. I'm surprised. I didn't think he would. And he cured Ashley, so there's that as well. But as if the universe couldn't bear the thought of a non-aggressively postured Leon, he passes out with his filthy hands at least a few feet away from Ashley's shiny palms. I can't get over how dirty he is. I mean, yeah, it's justified, but he's still filthy. I mean, Ashley's not even that dirty, and she was running with him. So, just as the machine finished Leon's version of the surgery, he wakes up, immediately saying Ashley's name. So not only does Ashley have daddy issues, but now Leon has mommy issues. I'd say that's attractive, but then the only thing that comes to mind when I think mommy issues are adult middle-aged men in diapers. Who doesn't love Ashley's level of confidence? I thought you were gonna die. Look at how short her skirt is. She's lucky Leon's not super bro. No, I'm just kidding. She's lucky he's not a pervert. I love how Leon's so shocked that Ashley was able to turn on the computer, and he's like, "You did this?" And he's so proud of her after this. I'm not even joking. Well, who the hell else did? It sure wasn't Louise. It's so sad because she actually looks really proud of herself. The face of a bimbo thinking to herself, "Wow, that's the smartest thing I ever accomplished. I'm so proud of myself." Her smile dies as she asks him if he can stand, and does this feel familiar, guys? Like maybe, switched around? If Leon falls, then we know it's an excuse for Ashley to touch him. So this boulder stands upright. I kid you not, this man was standing. Shifts a little, then flinches as if he's falling. Yeah, Leon, I know you just had surgery, but I know what you're doing. Ashley doesn't even touch him. She hesitates several inches from him, and that's when Leon just decides, well, fine, you don't want to carry me, I'll just stand in. So, turns out Ashley found a map and decided that these squiggles are going to lead them to an exit, despite the fact that there's no indication that this crumpled piece of paper is what they're looking for. I love how the paper itself, which is most likely written by an evil scientist who probably graduated from Harvard, has the words, if things go to shit, written on it. Saying it is one thing, but actually writing it down? What are you, 13? So, Ashley and her intelligence seeks more validation from Leon by basically asking him if they're equal. You know, are we a team? Which, first of all, they're really not. Ashley's a narcissistic, manipulative little skank. But when she doesn't want to touch Leon's dirty arms, that's when she draws the line. But no, we'll say they're a team. Leon's response is also nonsense, because he says, you keep this up, and I'll be out of a job. Your job isn't finding maps and curing viruses. It's solving complex, unnecessary puzzles and shooting the living out of the dead, you idiot. The one thing Ashley's incapable of doing. Not a knife or a gun on this woman's hip. She's rich and she should stay rich. Also, they kind of have a memorial speech thingy about Luis and how he's the reason the virus got, I say cured, but it actually got purged. Regardless, Luis was treated like literal shit when he was alive in the presence of YouTube bimbo narcissists. And now that he's dead, now you care? Genius. Especially if you see how Leon kind of treated Luis during the little minigame. It wasn't really, friendship is magic, you know? Moving on. Number something 2. Stay here, he said. I won't be long, he said. So Leon ditches Ashley for the sake of his itchy balls. Yes, you heard that correctly. Ada Wong is in danger. I literally only hate this woman for the sake that Leon would choose her over any of the other Resident Evil female characters in the franchise. I don't mean romantically, I mean there are quite literally a bunch of dead psychotic cultists looking to kidnap Ashley, and you tell her, wait here, my love life is in danger. How did Ada even get caught? Isn't she supposed to be like a black alley cat? Sure, it's sexy, but try and catch it. I'm actually serious. Alley cats are dangerous. Stay away from them. They carry diseases. They might have bird flu. I'm not gonna analyze the part where Leon saves the little mishap that shouldn't have been there in the first place. I don't mean she shouldn't have been in the game. I mean she shouldn't have gotten caught. That's not part of Ada's character. You know what I mean? The inconsistency, just so they would have moments together, you know? I did, however, stop to analyze this. Sadler says, you foul renegade, you have forsaken the holy body. I genuinely think you should go watch. It was really hilarious to see him say that. Anyway, does he mean himself after they shot him a dozen times, or is he talking about the fact that him and Ashley purged the virus? Very confusing. Regardless, this is where Leon has a boss fight with Sadler. Of course, as disgusting as the last few were, this one is just slimy and swollen, as you could have predicted. Although that is a lot of bone, it looks painful. Not as painful as the vertigo is. Is it the vertigo? I don't remember. Reaching close to the end of Ada and Leon's little tango, she asks him if he's coming when the helicopter arrives, which, first of all, did she expect him to ditch Ashley? Because I don't see Ashley anywhere in sight. I don't know why people like Ada. I don't hate her, I just don't see her likable traits, other than the fact that she's quite literally dressed as a prostitute. She's got thigh-high boots, skin-tight sweater dress, or whatever you call that, a leather strap wrapped around her upper torso to extrude her very curvy chest, and a hairstyle like a vixen. Also, is it just me, or is Leon having an allergy reaction? You think it's Ada's perfume? I wouldn't be surprised if a woman that heartless uses snake venom as perfume. Even when he's reminiscing about Ada's teddy bear keychain, which, you know, leads to the jet ski ending that they get, Leon looks like he's holding a grudge. That crack in his forehead is gonna be deeper than a geyser. Then Ashley shows up, like a drunk housewife about to confront her husband about his extramarital affairs. The way she shouts his name here sounds like she caught him doing something he shouldn't be doing. In reality, it's because the island's about to blow up, but still, it sounds so hostile. I really thought they were gonna hug each other when she ran up to him like this. Also, Ada was literally prepared to ditch Ashley, as Ashley seems kind of scared for her life. She's clearly freaking out because there's this helicopter and this Asian is just flying away as if she couldn't care less about their well-being. I guarantee there was a 50-50 chance that Ashley and Leon could have died, and she still wouldn't have let Ashley's shiny boots on her helicopter. Point is, she's dressed like a whore, fights like a whore, and wins like a whore, but a whore stays lucky like a four-leaf clover. Sorry, that's been stuck in my head for a while. Numbers I don't remember. The Great Escape of Resident Evil. Every Resident Evil game kinda has a great escape, and this one is no exception. But just for the sake of this video, we can pretend it's an exception. So, like I stated before, the island is dying because the cult leader has been killed. Why is everything blowing up, you may wonder? I don't know. Maybe Lord Sadler had some kind of tracking device attached to his heart, and Umbrella Corporation had this planned from the start, since this isn't the only time they chose to attack a village, as they quite literally named one of their games after the word itself. What's randomly interesting is the fact that the first remake of Resident Evil's remake lineups, it ends with a timer. Now, usually they give you an unnecessary amount of time, like so much time to guarantee that you won't die. Now, Requiem doesn't have this. Instead, Requiem has something that I don't think the other games have, which is a decision that rests on Grace's soul, which is darker than the timer because the gamer doesn't know which one to choose. They both seem equally distracting, right? A. Set the evil genius's now reformed project out into the world. B. Don't do that. Very conflicting. So this has nothing to do with anything. Now, as they're running, Leon's like, "Come on, it's gonna blow." Now, before I absorbed what Ashley was saying, I was like, yeah, no shovel, Sherlock. It wasn't shovel, but I don't feel like using the turd word. Then Ashley's like, "It's gonna what? You absolute retard. Did we not establish what that explosion was? Did you not yell several seconds earlier at the fact that the entire island was shaking and threatening to implode? You're telling me that the scream wasn't Ashley feeling scared for her life? Was she just jealous? Is every single person in this game just worth hating except for the dead ones and the merchant? But considering his eyes, he might actually be dead. You know what? I never really thought how attractive the merchant was until now. But he's got a good heart, a decent soul, and he even came back to save Leon's life. Even if he's not visually attractive, his innards are beautiful. Like Ethan, he's visually not appealing, but then when you know him... Where were we again? I got distracted. Give me a second. Okay, after hopping on the bike, you're probably thinking, "Lindy, stop going through so much character analysis details. These details are unnecessary." No, the hell they are not. Leon asks Ashley if she likes thrill rides, in the heat of the moment, of course. Ashley jumps up and says she loves them. Why is this important? Well, once you get to know the casual Ashley, which insinuates that Ashley wears this outfit on a casual basis, which tells me Ashley was not casually kidnapped. She was kidnapped after dressing up for some kind of event. I mean, yes, the length of this skirt looks bad, but this outfit looks like an emo threw up on her and then broke up with her. Ashley went from being this screaming, fragile, unable to jump off high places, feminine figure, before turning into a girl who could handle a stunt like flying over debris, while the roof is collapsing over their heads without screaming. I don't know why I'm disappointed. I had an expectation, and for some reason it wasn't met. Am I the problem? Or is this the problem? I am the problem. Walk in the room like who's gonna solve it. I should stop quoting that horrible music. It's ringing in my ears. So Leon turns around, asking Ashley if she's okay. And this brings me to another question. I should call this Ashley ? But does this mean the virus was making her more anxious than what she actually is? Because she's nothing like what she was when she was constantly running after Leon. Okay, look, character depth is definitely a thing. Character development is definitely a thing. But do you really think she'd be that different from, okay, well, that is a very traumatizing incident. Point is, she doesn't even keep her arms wrapped around his waist when they stop moving. I mean, we already established that Ashley doesn't like touching Leon. Do you think she's gay? Oh well, she leans backwards. Guys, I don't like touching people, but you wouldn't catch me leaning back on a jet ski like this. I mean, unless you're a thrill seeker. Nor a bike for that matter. I hate bikers. Not because I hate them, but because I hate motorcycles. They scare me. They're so flexible and dangerous. Alright, after the island blows up, it starts raining for some reason. Is that a thing? Does the ocean do that? Okay, so yes, the ocean is actually reacting to the impact of the explosion. It is considered a temporary downpour, which almost looks like a light shower. The impact sends a heavy amount of water flying into the air, and almost like rain, it comes pouring down in water droplets. But it's not natural rain, it's just the ocean re-swallowing its resources. Now, this is considered a heavy downpour, which means all that water which got pushed into the air falls back down like little hail cubes. So on impact, I can imagine it feels like somebody's flicking you with their finger several dozen times, which is annoying. And then the sunset. I feel even more rewarded than Leon for finally finishing this unnecessary thing that I started. Then the hero music starts playing. The girl tells the boy that he saved her, and the boy's like, "No, not until you're home safe." And then they make out for 30 seconds, and then when they get home, they make out for another 30 seconds, and then there's a sequel, then the sequel has a sequel, then the sequel has a prequel. You know what I'm talking about. That's not what matters. They get all awkward, and Ash asks Leon if he wants to hook up. Leon's like, "You don't need me. You proved you could handle yourself." Which, in all honesty, she did. She ran through hordes of infected knights, jumped off extremely long ledges, and has the ability to dislodge her own ankle from a bear trap if you leave her there for long enough. And she lifted Leon's dead weight onto a surgical chair and knew how to use the computer. And remember, guys, she's a bimbo, so this deserves a lot of praise. She even telepathically knew that Leon and Luis were exchanging temporary vaccines. She doesn't need Leon. Hell, they could start a brand new franchise with Ashley. Leon ends out the journey by saying, "Come on, let's go home." What the hell is he talking about? He doesn't have a place to call home until the ending of Resident Evil Requiem. Thus far, he's a rogue, an assassin, a kidnapper, and a doctor. Don't ask me where I got those credentials. I probably just made them up. Regardless, the ending of this does prove something. Ashley is far more bearable than the original, not only because she looks like a grown woman, but because of the fact that she can take responsibility for her own NPC's actions. She doesn't get kidnapped or throw as many tantrums as she does in the original, and her haircut is far more attractive as well as her facial features. I'm not perverted, I'm just taking account. Is this, however, necessary? Was Ashley supposed to be taken seriously, or was she just temporary? If I worked for the franchise of Resident Evil, I wouldn't use Ashley again, because in general, there's really nothing more to do with her character other than using her as a companion for your gameplay experience. Guys, if I talked English, do you think I'd be able to manage my tongue better? Let's try. Okay. Every time you lose Ashley, it's sad because she's so entertaining. No, I stopped. Okay, let's try the original accent. Every time you lose Ashley, it's sad because she's so entertaining to be around. Also, she's stupid in a way I would consider adorable. Sometimes she's randomly intelligent, and in other scenarios, she doesn't know her left foot from her right. Okay, that does actually feel slightly better, but I feel weird talking like that. I choose to blame the virus. In other words, I blame the virus for making her smarter, because she loses a partial amount of her IQ close to the end of the game after receiving the cure. But generally, infections don't amp up your IQ. They usually cause a brain fog where you're not thinking as straight as you would have if you were not infected. So, Ashley's just a lump of human surprises, and I will miss her. But unfortunately, thinking from a writer's perspective, of course, because I am one, there's really no reason for Resident Evil to use her again. Did I just say I am one? I'm trying to be one. Take Rose, for example. She had one purpose, to find her purpose, or to get rid of her powers, whichever one you choose to believe. I choose to believe that she was suicidal, but then again, aren't all teenage girls? Once the DLC was over, there was no reason to use her. Now, why would they need to use someone like Ethan twice? Thrice, if he is in the DLC. I didn't finish the DLC, or finish watching it. I got depressed before I could. Point is, Ethan was directly involved with the virus itself. He challenged the virus in Resident Evil 7. He went out of his way to kill multiple hosts, just like what Leon did. Now, because of this is what we call exposure, or rather the Resident Evil term exploitation, where you get to exploit a character twice because they're so persistent and refuse to die, and because there's more to tell. With a character like Ashley, there's nothing more of value other than the fact that she got kidnapped for being the president's daughter. Imagine that being your life. Imagine that being the reason you met Leon Kennedy. I wouldn't. No, you know what? I wouldn't even want to meet him. For crying out loud, I'd hate him in person. I don't know. He's just got narcissistic self-love aura. Other than that, her traits are not useful to a franchise like Resident Evil because Ashley has no reason to continue fighting the virus itself if it's not in character for her to just jump into a battleground. She's not persistent nor desperate enough to be able to do something like that. Ethan was desperate because his best friend shot his wife and his baby got kidnapped, fueled by confusion, rage, and the gut-wrenching feeling of his child having been taken away from him. How about Grace? Would they use her again? It depends. How bad is her trauma? Is someone going to kidnap Emily? Because the best sequels to Requiem would be if someone was out there searching for Emily. If they wanted to use Emily as some kind of weapon or cure. Point is, Grace has proven she's ruthless when it comes to Emily. So Grace has purpose, but I'm not guaranteeing that a franchise like Resident Evil would want to use someone as psychologically damaged as Grace was when she was first introduced, because they're kind of going to have to keep up with her mannerisms or else it's not going to feel like Grace. Ah well, with that being said, we have reached the end of our journey. I get sidetracked a lot, so about 45% of this thing is just me rambling. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can subscribe if you feel like it. Being human and making decisions is hard, so I won't force you. See you next week, or within the next 10 days, since that seems to be more like my usual schedule.